The Japanese has kind of characteristic. Do they have? This is in future, no dream, but some many people moving. Do you know the rat? Million rat go get into the water, get into the sea. Okay, and once or several decades, many rats, million rats go into the sea to die. Some location, some area, but we don't know how come they try to get into sea.
True story.
Yeah, go sea and to death. For Japanese people, they have kind of character they have. Like one example is Ambenomask is the same. Wrong decision, crazy decision, but everybody follow on. But who decided? They everybody turn back who, but nobody answer. But we decided. This is Japanese character. That this is kind of rat character we have.
Right. So actually, I know that whales sometimes do this. They en masse, like as a group, they land on the beaches, like the whole herd of whales do this kind of behavior. It looks like mass suicide. So maybe we should study social behavior of whales to learn a little bit more about
whales.
What drives
what
whales.
Is it? Whale? What is it?
Whales, they beach themselves. So it happens that these animals, they kind of collectively get on shore and die.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Many of those.
Yeah, not just one, but many of those.
Why?
Many. So exactly the same question. Why do they do that? I don't know. So, but maybe.
Oh, very similar to Japanese.
Right.
Ambenomask is get on the shore. How come you get on the shore? Right. This is Japanese character.
Yeah, hopefully different from rats and corals.
And I want to discuss about this kind of issues. In future, we have similar decision government we're going to make, and I don't want to that. We don't want to do that.
Right. So I think one of the.
I tell you, I'm criticizing Ambenomask, but not all of those agree with me. This is strange. Some of those support Mr. Abe. How come they support Mr. Abe? This is what I don't understand.
It's the same like Trump support. No, the same like Trump supporters, right? They just don't. They feel like Abe represents Japan, and they feel like they need to. They feel personally offended when Abe is criticized. Because they identify with him as a representative of their own group. And I see that also very strongly with the Trump supporters in the United States. They feel personally offended. Every discussion is held not based on its merits anymore, but more like people feel like, okay, you're criticizing them, not the behavior of their president.
Oh, wait a minute. Trump action and Abe's action completely different. Do you remember this kind of coronavirus action Trump took is 100% they took right action, and they distribute money immediately. They decide whatever people want, and initial stage of coronavirus is a wrong decision, but later part of his decision was exactly right. It versus to Abe's decision.
Oh, compared with Abe's decision, but I think that we are giving.
By the way, Ed. By the way, I studied Trump's 30 years his history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read a lot of material. He just speak at YouTube material, and he just really? 30 years ago, he just very close friend, the son of John F. Kennedy. And he wrote a good book, and he just make us good speech. And he's for 30 years, he just consider for his not private interest. He just always he consider for their sovereignty and his country.
I know, Uno-san. Actually, he didn't write the book. He had a ghostwriter who wrote the book, and
but
he didn't
I know that. But the content of what he said is exactly right, based upon his idea. He's very good, message he delivered in that book. Do you know that?
I can't believe it.
Yeah, and so I just checked what he did. But his character is terrible. Okay, his personality character is so terrible. But his, what he's thinking is actually in right direction. That's the reason he got 50% support. It's different from Abe regime. Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing is today I got one conclusion. This is Japanese people is like a whale showering up type of character we have, right? I don't know how come they did the kind of conclusion, but mass people they're going to make the terrible decision they're going to make, but we don't know why. The history tells, but we don't know why. That whale showering up.
So, how do we try? Okay, first of all, I'm very interested in the fact that apparently during those years, during World War II, there were people who represented the military who were very strong and independent thinking and making independent decisions, driving their own agenda, and even daring to isolate themselves from others in order to go ahead. This kind of behavior, do we still see that today?
Yeah, I think so. And do you remember World War II military invading Shanghai? And at that area, they need to stop invading. But army tried to going down south, Nanjing and Changsha, all the way down to Vietnam. They did. That was terribly crazy action they made. They thought, what kind they thought did they have? Japanese never can occupy all China, but they didn't know, but they invaded. Right? This is terribly crazy action. And also Southeast Asia, they try to invade to India. This is also another crazy action. They should only control Malay, Singapore, Vietnam. This is how come they satisfied kind of territory they occupy?
It looked very much like a game of land grab where everybody's trying to carve a little piece for himself.
That's right.
Using resources that basically that they human lives in order to glory for the glory of Japan, but more for the glory of themselves.
Maybe military is like kind of character do they have, like a current China, they try to invade South China Sea, East China Sea. 50 years ago, they didn't have any kind of land in South China Sea. They didn't have. But for 50 years, they got all kind of island in South China Sea. And they said, this is our territory. This is crazy.
Right, but these kinds of discussions are always difficult because it depends on how far you care to look back. So there's always these discussions in Europe too, like, okay, this belongs to our country, this belongs to our country. It just depends how far you look back because things change constantly. So if you find that this was not your land for the past 150 years, why don't you just go back 300 years and you might find a period where it actually did belong to your country, and then we can argue that it's an integral part of China. It's a very transparent game.
Exactly. So this kind of territorial issues we need to seriously consider how to treat China. We should never give up. Our Japanese fault 100 years ago.
But do you think that the position of the military in China can be compared to the position of the military in Japan in the 1930s and 40s?
Exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, they try to expand their territory.
But not as
they try to show their power, their dominance, their existence in Asia. But currently, China is also government try to expand their power in Asia. Not only military, government. Government, military not the same. Okay, Xi Jinping and military is different. But China is both regime and military try to dominate in Asia. But Japan's case is different. Okay, Japan, we had Hachiko Ichiu, is not colonialism, but military they try to invade whole Asia. This is discrepancy we had before World II. Government don't expand their territory of waging war in China, in Asia Pacific. They didn't want to do that, but military tried to occupy all Asia.
What happened with the soldiers who came back to Japan?
What do you mean?
There was never any protest.
What do you mean?
The soldiers, like, if the soldiers, okay, so if I would fight for my country, but let's say that I would do that, and I have a certain idea, like my understanding of the way that we work and the way that we are driven into these foreign countries is because of Hachiko Ichiu. And I find that based on my experience, I see that basically the whole operation is driven by military. It's pure militaristic. It's driven by the agenda of the general. And lots of my fellow soldiers die not because of an honorable cause, but because it's basically land grab, a power struggle within the military in Japan. Let's say that is the case. Were there soldiers when they came back to Japan who actually protested with their government, with the military, and actually argued against the people who sent them into this war?
Okay, I understand what you mean. And the war, waging war is conducted by only general, not soldiers. Okay, and Japanese is special characters. They have. Today is the first day of the serial holidays. Today, the first day of serial holidays for 10 days. And if you go into Tokyo Station, nobody's there. Nobody's there. Do you understand what this means? Japanese people follow government instruction, restriction.
All right.
So soldiers are the same. They coming back to Japan, they follow on their organization instruction.
Right.
So they obey, or they are subsided by his organization. Yano, what are you doing there?
Because I just come out, because now my cousin's family stay together. So now children start to cry. So I went outside.
Oh, really? Your family there?
Yeah, my cousin's family. So now I'm using EY Wi-Fi. So
a little bit chilly outside.
We are not supposed to use our Wi-Fi for that kind of purpose then.
Okay, I got you. But this Japanese is very obedience people. Obedience people under the upper organization. Company is the same. They have they follow on everybody, his boss, upper organization and government and military. They do not have individualism. and they based upon collectivism, follow on everybody. Just like I tell you, one industry, and they try to do better contract with holding company. They cannot do that. They try to coordinate with the other colleague companies. Okay, they cannot have a unique idea doing kind of business outside Japan. They are criticized if they're going to do the unique approach, especially for quality issues. So this means strange country. So soldiers going back to Japan, they have no complaint. Going back to Japan, just one ordinary people.
Right.
Many cases they had a lot of severe, brutal things they did, but they never speak up.
Right.
Can we see the same case even now in private companies doing something?
Oh, Takashi's company, that's right. He should follow his company's direction and opinion. He cannot speak out whatever he thinks.
Oh, we are doing so.
Really?
I'm trying not to do so, but yeah, I can see the case in the company.
So this is the answer, my answer.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
so it means like Hachiko Ichu is based upon Japanese culture before World II, and Emperor tried to teach them we are the family, not only Japanese, including in all Asia Pacific, everybody is coordinate each other. Coordinate, okay, not occupy, not colonialism, just coordinate. Coordination was imperial description for education. They say coordinate with outside people.
Yeah. Okay. So the way that the Americans in the movie interpreted this was a straight driving their imperialist agenda. And I tend to actually follow that interpretation. But I wonder, like, if this is really what was meant, and people really intended to coordinate, then how would soldiers respond to whatever they encountered in China, for example? That must have been terrible. Must have been so shocking for those people. How come these sounds never came out?
The Beijing War is always shocking, brutality, terrible. How to kill men, how to rape women. This is all the way. Beijing War against China, they did. But after World War II, China government tried to conceal everything except Nanjing. But Japanese military, Japanese soldiers did a lot of wrongdoing over there. Killed many people. Just Kuomintang said 6 million people they killed. Ordinary people, okay, they killed. But Chinese government concealed everything. Why? It's simple. Mao Zedong, they tried to doing good relationship with Japan, so he concealed everything. Beijing War is always kind of Vietnam War and any kind of war is terrible, miserable, and that's for how many years? 5 or 6 years, 10 years with China. That was terrible. Manchuria and Malay, Singapore and Philippines, Indonesia, they did war, but very, very short time period, several weeks, not more than that. Several years, these peaceful years, they spent time on those areas, right?
So the Germans also spent very peaceful time in the Netherlands, is what you're saying?
No. Germany is different. No, Germany is different. Germany is a completely different concept. They just their concept is invasion. They never try to equal with Netherlands people.
No, actually that's not true. According to the Germans, they because we are basically kind of the same race, so they were kind of expected that we opposed. Not
same people. Just only 15 people is the same people. More than 80 people, different nations, races.